On Linden Square by Kate Sullivan. It was the first day of winter vacation, and Stella May Culpepper was bored to tears. She watched the sun sink slowly behind the apartment building across the street. Fernando, her upstairs neighbor, liked to play video games and sing karaoke. She could hear him singing, off-key. Her downstairs neighbor, Miss Apeggio, was rather large and played Moonlight Sonata on the piano during lightning storms. From her tall bay windows on the second floor, Stella May could see the whole neighborhood. She watched the tiny lady who talked to herself in a high, squeaky voice as she clicked down the street every afternoon. Stella May called her the Mouse Lady, but never to her face. She saw the old man in the pork pie hat who pedaled by on his rickety bicycle to collect the empty bottles out of the trash. The neighbors' lights began to come on, one by one. Mr. Rubenstein lived in the house next door to Stella May's. He read lots of books and had 2 kitty cats, Pianissimo and Fortissimo. Above him lived Mr. and Mrs. Chatterjee, who didn't talk much. They wore Mexican hats and had a chihuahua named Mahjong. In the apartment building across the street, the 2 kids on the top floor had bunk beds and pillow fights. On the floor below, a guy with a pencil mustache practiced slide trombone. The couple on the ground floor wore fancy clothes and went out in taxicabs. They all lived on Linden Square. Miss Apeggio never said hello to Bottle Man. Taxicab couple never waved to Mr. and Mrs. Chatterjee. Trombone Guy and Mouse Lady never crossed paths. Pillow fight kids ran away whenever Fernando sang, and Stella May never said hello to any of them because they never said hello to her. But that night, as the sky grew darker and the glow of the streetlights, she could see snow. Snow began to cover the street and sidewalk, blowing a wintry frosting over the neighborhood. It snowed all night, all the next day, and into the next night. When Stella May awoke the next morning, everything was white. The cars looked like elephants. The telephone lines sagged like lazy white snakes. The trees sparkled with tangles of snowy spider webs, and every spike on the park fence sported a pointy snowcap. Stella May pulled on her coat and her boots, ran across the street to the park, and squeezed through the gate. The snow was practically up to her armpits. "Holy moly," she whispered. She made a little snowball and rolled it in the sticky snow. "This will be the tail," she thought. The pillow fight kids came outside to throw snowballs instead of pillows. "Want to help?" called Stella May from the park. Higher and higher went the mound of snow. Trombone Guy stopped wah-wahing and came outside, dragging a shovel. He came over to the park and started to make a huge head with bulging cheeks like Dizzy Gillespie. One by one, the neighbors came out to see what was going on. Fernando pressed pause on his video game and set to work carving horns on top of the head. Taxicab couple pulled on their dressy boots and started sculpting dancing feet in a fancy crown. Mr. and Mrs. Chatterjee came outside to let Mahjong make some yellow snow. They stopped to watch the neighbors. "What are you making?" they asked. It's a ballerina," suggested taxicab couple. "Is Ferdinand the bull?" offered Fernando. "No, it's a scatty-wah jazz man," sang Trombone Guy. "It looks like Babar, the French elephant," said Miss Apeggio. "Maybe it's the Ganache, the very lucky Indian elephant man who rides on a mouse," Mrs. Chatterjee chirped. Mouse Lady squeaked by and thought it should have whiskers. "No, I think it's that mean old witch, Baba Yaga," Mr. Rubenstein said. "Baba Yaga," chanted the pillow fight kids. They just liked the sound of it. Bottle Man put on his brakes to think. "Very feng shui. Let's just call it Ferdinand Ganache, the jazzy dancing Baba Feng Shui Elephant Mouse," shouted Stella May triumphantly. The neighbors all looked at one another. Then they looked at their sculpture. "Yes, that's what it is." Ferdinand Ganesh, the jazzy dancing baby feng shui elephant mouse. They all agreed. The neighbors stayed outside all day. Mr. Rubenstein brought out a tray of leftover lock keys and performed a magic trick with his thumbs. Fernando mulled some cider for everyone and sang, "Ay, ay, 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 canta Illinois." The Chatterjees ran inside to get their special curry-flavored tacos, while Miss Apeggio and Trombone Guy babbled excitedly about playing duets. In the meantime, Bottle Man wound a slip-slidey bicycle path through the park and decorated it with no-deposit bottles. As dusk fell, the Chatterjees lit some candles. Trombone Guy played a tango, and everyone danced by the candlelight. The clouds pressed lower, and the streetlights came on. One by one, the neighbors laughed, blew out their candles, and said goodnight. Then Stella May Culpepper went home, warmed her toes by the radiator, and dreamed about Ferdinand Ganesh, the jazzy, dancing, Baba Feng Shui elephant mouse, and what might happen on the next day of winter vacation.